Hello, welcome to White Threads FlossTube number 80. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't yet subscribed, I would absolutely love it if you did. If you haven't yet shared this series of videos with your friends, then please do, especially if they're interested in embroidery. If they're not, they probably won't be interested in this either. Anyway, I apologise for the gap since the last video. We had Easter school holidays here and I took some time off to be with my family, so I apologise for the bit of the break. But there's lots that's happened during that time. And the first one is that I have received my advance copies of Frisian Whitework. So I received just a few copies of each. Now there are two here because one is the well, I'll go with this one first. This is the Australian and New Zealand edition, and it's got a different ISBN to this one, which is the rest of the world edition. So this one's published just by me, Yvette Creations, and this one's a joint publication by Yvette Creations and Search Press. They have different ISBNs, so I will put the ISBNs in the notes below the video so that you can see them, and it means that you'll be able to order them more easily from your favourite needlework shop, bookshop, blah blah blah. So yeah, I've got them. It's really exciting, and that means that now that I have approved them, so I've looked through the book and I've checked that everything's fine and I've approved them, and quite frankly there is no reason why I wouldn't approve them, because at this late stage they've all been printed and I'm not going to have them pulped. So yeah, it's just a formality to say yes, go ahead and send the bulk shipment. So the bulk shipment is on its way now, and I believe that I should be receiving my copies to send out at the beginning of May. So hopefully very soon after that, if you've ordered one, it will pop into your letterbox soon after that. It's really exciting. It's finally happened, and like, they're real books. It's exciting. So I'll give you a flip through. There's three pattern sheets in the back, and then lots and lots of stitch instructions with the sort of detail that you can expect from my books. And then we keep going. So there's lots of stitch instructions, as you can see. Okay, still going. Then we've got the patterns. Oh, sorry, no, what are they? Projects. That's them. Projects. Then there's information about what you need to make it, and then lots and lots of historical examples in the front section of the book. The historical examples all come from the Fries Museum in Leeuwarden in the Netherlands, and that's the main museum for that sort of thing in Friesland, which is obviously where this embroidery comes from. The other thing that I also wanted to say was that Mountmellick Embroidery has been reprinted. I know people have been waiting for this for quite some time. So this will be on its way around the world soon too. So if you want to place an order for that, if you've been waiting for it, it's back in print. I'm sorry about the length of time that took. It means that all of my books are now back in print. I understand that some people are having trouble getting some of them. The only one that's been out of print is Mountmellick Embroidery. If you're having trouble getting copies of any of my books, please contact me and I will see if I can help you find the ones that you need. People have been saying to me that left-handed's out of stock, and I don't know why, because my supplier, I've sent them stock. So really everything is in stock except Mountmellick, which is on its way. So yeah, just let me know if you're having trouble and I will help you find some things. Now, when my husband and I went down to the post office recently to collect all of our mail after having been away for a short period of time, and I had no idea there was going to be that much stuff there, but I suppose I'm ordering things at the moment to go into the supplies packs for Frisian Whitework, so it's not really surprising that so many things should turn up. And my husband is a school librarian, so he has things to turn up for him, like books to go into the school library. So we went down, we picked up a whole lot of stuff, and then in there was a parcel from Russia, and I said to my husband, oh, you've got something from Russia? And he said, no, that's for you. And I thought, I haven't ordered anything from Russia. Well, it turns out that some months ago I was asked by a lady here in Australia to send 3 books to her friend in Russia as a birthday present. She asked me if I'd put a little note in with it, which of course I'm very happy to do. Put a little note in with it for her, and Tatiana, who was the Russian recipient, was so very thankful and grateful and kind to send me a book of Russian cross-stitch patterns, which are gorgeous. So Tatiana, if you're watching this, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. That was just a lovely thing to do. And so looking through, there's so many beautiful designs in this, and I can see that they would make beautiful things to go on the end of a towel. They could go across a sleeve in on a beautiful shirt. Yeah, be just gorgeous. And I can see that there is a huge relationship with some of these patterns with the Ukrainian things that I've seen, Ukrainian embroideries, but also some of these patterns could easily be adapted into Smoig embroidery. Yeah, so really lovely things. So thank you very much, Tatiana. That was a beautiful thing for you to do for me, and I'm so very grateful. Thank you. So yeah, that was a lovely, lovely, lovely surprise that a surprise you're not expecting, when I wasn't expecting it. So the other thing that I wanted to update you on was I was talking fairly recently about the idea of teaching some classes here in Walcha, which is the little country town that I live in here in New South Wales in Australia. And you may, I don't know where in the world you are, but you may have heard recently, you know, we had bushfires 2 Januaries ago. We've just had some massive flooding. Now the flooding didn't affect us terribly here in Walcha. We have a levee bank and we didn't actually get very much rain compared to the rest of the state. Like, we are still well under our total rainfall to this point compared to last year. So yeah, we've had not very much rain at all. But further down towards the coast from us had a heap of rain, and there were landslips on the main road that connects our town, Walcha, with the coast. And so there's landslips, the road's been washed away, like from underneath the road surface, so it's going to be closed for quite some time. Now this also happened, the road was closed when the bushfires were on, because the road was severely damaged by bushfire. So the road was closed for months while they fixed it. It's been open again, and now it's going to be closed again for months. And all of that has a huge effect on our little town. We get a lot of tourists passing through from Port Macquarie, which is down on the coast, to us here in Walcha, heading through on their way elsewhere, but they inject a lot of cash into our town. And when the road was shut during the bushfires, it was devastating for the town. Then we were hit by COVID after that, and now the road's shut again. And I thought, well, what can I do to help? Because this is a really desperate situation for many businesses in our town. It's not so terribly desperate for me, but I thought, what can I do? And I thought, well, I could run some classes here in town and get people to come. Like, I'm very happy for locals to join in the classes, but if it can mean that some tourists can come into the town and stay and spend their money on their food, their accommodation, and on my classes, blah, 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 they can spend money in the local shops, then that would be a really good thing that I could do for the town to help. So I'm running a series of classes. My first class I've just put up online today, so I will put a link to that. And it's going to be on the weekend of, I think, the 29th and 30th of May. So it's about 6 weeks away. So hopefully that gives you enough time to book in. And I'm going to run some later on in the year too. So I think there's going to be one maybe at the beginning of July and the one at the end of July as well. And I'm doing them on weekends because that is what seemed to suit most people when I did my little survey of what would you like. So the first class that I'm going to run is going to be a Mountmellick class, and I'm going to have 2 projects available. So there's going to be the wildflower cushion and the pomegranate biscornu. So if you want to do a big project, you can do this one. And if you just want to do a small project, like if you're a little bit hesitant about knowing whether you could do this, then I suggest that that might be a good one for you. Of course, when I first did hardang, the first hardang piece that I did was absolutely massive. So yeah, if you want to do a first piece that's huge, I'm okay with that too. So like the cushion's not huge, but it's bigger. So the class is suitable for beginners through to advanced stitches. If you've never done any embroidery before, that's okay. That's okay. I'm happy to take you by the hand and show you. So what I do in my classes, my Mountmellick classes particularly, is I teach all of the stitches. It'll be a 2-day class. So first half of each, the first day in the morning, I teach probably about half of the stitches, and then in the afternoon you can start working on the project. And then on the second day I teach you the rest of the stitches, and then you can continue working on the project. I don't want to teach it to you all at once because your brain will be full, but yeah, so that's how that works. And the phone's ringing. So, sorry about that brief interlude where I had to go and answer the phone. I was expecting that it was going to be the supplier of my linen, and yes it was, and I'm still chasing 35 count white linen, and she said, well, maybe it might be here by the end of the month. They're having a great deal of difficulty getting supplies out of Europe at the moment because Europe's in lockdown and they're not manufacturing, so there's not much to go around, and it's been a little bit frustrating for a lot of us. That said, we're extremely grateful here in Australia that our borders have been quite shut and we've kept COVID to an absolute minimum. I mean, there are people who have died, but compared to the rest of the world, we are incredibly fortunate in the way we are. We're just lacking in some embroidery supplies. So if that's all we have to deal with, I think we can put up with that. But yes, it means that I have been waiting on 35 count white linen, 36 count, whatever it is, you know, Edinburgh. So I got Edinburgh for a very long time. I ordered it in October last year, still waiting. So it might arrive the end of this month, or otherwise it could be, you know, sometime down the track. We'll just have to wait and see. The reason why I wanted to know whether that was going to be available and why I was chasing it up this morning is because I also want to schedule some Frisian Whitework classes, for which I usually use, well, I use a lot of 35 count, 36 count white linen, and also Smoig. So they are the two other classes that I want to schedule in the next few months, I really can't make a firm commitment to at least the Frisian one until I know which project I'm going to be able to teach in terms of what supplies I'm going to be able to get. For those of you who are waiting on Vaupel and Heilenbeck linen, which I ordered in March last year, and I'm still waiting for, I believe it is on its way to me, and in fact, my app told me the other day that it had made it to Sydney. Woohoo! It's finally in the country. So hopefully the Vaupel and Heilenbeck linens will be back in stock on my website very soon. I hugely apologise for how long this has taken, but once again, it's COVID and difficulties with shipping around the world, manufacturing. With our borders closed, it means that things are taking a very circuitous route to get to us because we just don't have flights arriving as regularly as we normally would. So, in amongst all that bad news, there is good news. So I've got my new copies of the Frisian Whitework. I've got the advanced copies. Mountmellick Embroidery is going to be back in stock soon. I got a beautiful gift from a lovely customer, and Mountmellick classes are going to be soon, so I will put the link so that you can sign up for them. If you've got any questions, please just contact me to ask. I have no problem answering all of your questions, whatever they are. I can help you find accommodation if you need to. There's lots of options in town for different budgets. If you need help figuring out how you're going to get here, I can help with that too. Just think of me as a walking, talking tourist bureau for Walcha. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me today. That was really a bit of a ramble, wasn't it? But there was lots of good news in there. So thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye.